I can see that we are all here to see our wonderful governor, and there are very, very many of you here. If any of you, and those of you who are sitting up here, if you haven't seen the standing room only, you're really lucky you got seats. If those of you who are standing around here would like, and you don't want to stand, there is actually an overflow room in the Gluck Theater, and people in the hallway can show you how to get there. If you do decide to stay, please be careful of the cameras and the speakers. They're getting rocked a little bit, and we want to make sure that everyone can see the governor and can hear the governor. So thank you all very, very much for being here. I'm Joyce McConnell, the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs here at West Virginia University. It's truly an honor for us at West Virginia University to host Governor Justice and members of his leadership team here today in Morgantown. Thank you so much for making the trip up the highway, up 79. We understand you're a little bit busy right now in Charleston, and so it's especially important to hear from those so closely involved in the development of the state's plans for the future at this crucial time. What happens in Charleston affects us every day, both in our work and in our lives outside of the office. It affects our students, many of whom are here, impacting not just the cost of their education, but also their prospects for employment and their health care and their ability to stay at home with their families in the state that they love. Earlier this year, Dr. Clay Marsh and I had the great pleasure of joining with people all over our state as members of the governor's transition team. We talked about many issues, including legislation, infrastructure, health care, and our state's economic viability. All of those topics are important. However, the most important discussions we had focused less on specific policies or budgets, but instead focused on attitudes, behaviors, and perceptions. We know our state faces great challenges, but our strong consensus was that our state also has the key element in place, and that is our people. Governor Justice has surrounded himself with people who believe in the state of West Virginia, who have a track record of getting things done, and who are unafraid of change. It is my privilege to introduce you to one of those people. Tom Smith is a professional engineer, and I just learned that both of his sons graduated from West Virginia University from Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, which I'm pleased. Thank you so much. He is the Cabinet Secretary of the West Virginia Department of Transportation and the Commissioner of the Division of Highways. In this role, he is responsible for the state government's stake in all forms of transportation, from roads and bridges to airports, railways, and public transit, the entire infrastructure required for a healthy, functioning, robust, diverse economy. I think we would all agree he has some challenges ahead, but he's no stranger to challenges. In 37 years with the Federal Highway Administration, Tom oversaw much of the construction that developed our interstate and Appalachian Corridor highway systems, rising to the position of Division Administrator for West Virginia. About a year ago, he took his talents to Washington, D.C. as Senior Transportation Advisor for the Appalachian Regional Commission. Governor Justice convinced him to come back to West Virginia, and he is here today to talk with us about the administration's plan for rebuilding our state's transportation infrastructure. Please help me in welcoming Secretary Tom Smith.
Thank you so much for the opportunity today to talk to you a little bit about transportation. Governor Justice, President Gee, and other honored guests, it's truly a pleasure for me to be back here in Morgantown. I remember sitting right in the front row 13 years ago at orientation for my oldest son, who went on and is a captain in the Air Force, and my other son is a mechanical engineer in Pittsburgh and has done quite well with their West Virginia University education. I have two things to do during my brief remarks. The first is to thank you for what WVU does for our state, the impact that you have on our state, and also to make a shameless pitch to try to help you engineering students, to come and work with us as we deliver Governor Justice's transportation program. And then the second thing I want to do is actually set the stage for Governor Justice to talk specifically more about his transportation program. I want to talk about some of the challenges we have, and then you'll hear him talk about his program. So with that, let me go ahead and start. Again, thank you so much for what West Virginia University does for the state of West Virginia. It's quite obvious to me, as a person that moved here several years ago, how much of an impact WVU has. And I will say also that as we look at delivering Governor Justice's transportation plan, there is a space for many, many disciplines beyond engineering, but within engineering, many of the disciplines there, not just civil engineering, but mechanical engineering, industrial, computer science, any number of the fields within engineering, there's opportunities in transportation to actually play a part. So please, as you have the opportunity, students, please if you have contact information at the end of this, please let me know. We'll be happy to have someone talk to you, because there will be opportunities with this wonderful plan that Governor Justice will tell you more about as we go forward. The second thing I want to do is to set up this transportation challenge that we have in the state of West Virginia, and really set the stage, the need for Governor Justice's S.O.S. program. Now, S.O.S. is a nice acronym for Save Our State, but I think you all know that it's also the universal signal for distress in the Morse code. And that's really what we have in West Virginia. We have a universal signal for distress, not only with our transportation infrastructure, but also with our economy in general. And I'm thrilled as a transportation professional to see that Governor Justice has made a point that the centerpiece for his recovery relies on strong investment in infrastructure and in transportation. I'll invite you to think about how transportation touches you every day. It touches literally everything you do as you figure out how to commute here to West Virginia University, as you get to the grocery store, as you go to church, as you go to the doctor. We worry about how we make the roads safe for you as a young person, as you get your driver's license, begin driving on some of our challenging roads at the early age of 16. We try to make sure that the roads are safe, and because of the topography we have here, our roads are challenging. So just think for a minute that transportation touches everything you do. Now, last month down in Charleston, there was a report released called the TRIP report. The TRIP report is an engineering report that takes a snapshot of what's happening with transportation. It talks about the condition of our pavements, the condition of our bridges, how we're doing with highway safety. And I can tell you, folks, we're really at a crisis stage in pretty much all of these. Our condition of highways is continuing to deteriorate. 3 years ago, we went from 12th worst place in the country for the condition of our bridges to 5th worst place with this current snapshot. So we're continuing to decline, and the TRIP report actually assigns a cost when it looks at the cost of the vehicles that you have, the cost of sitting in congestion. Around the whole state of West Virginia, the cost was an average for rural folks about $650. You all can appreciate this in Morgantown. The cost for not investing in our roads is the highest in Morgantown in any place in the state, $1,440. That's the highest when you add in the fact the continuing deterioration of roadways, but also sitting in traffic, as I did today getting here, that you have a cost of doing nothing. And if we don't do something about that cost of doing nothing, it will get worse. And Governor Justice's plan is less than $100 per person, per motorist in West Virginia, and will allow us to start chipping away at that. So I'll invite you to think about that cost of doing nothing. That means bent rims, that means misalignment with your steering, that means flat tires, that means sitting in traffic. And what I think you will see when Governor Justice tells you about his plan is that it can really make a dent in this, and it'll make a difference. It'll make a difference with our infrastructure. It'll particularly make a difference with our economy. So with that, I just want to say 3 quick things about Governor Justice's plan. It is big, $2.8 billion. That's eye-popping big when you look at what we've done with dollars in West Virginia before. It's bold. It creates 48,000 immediate jobs that can put people back to work immediately. And then it provides for immediate economic recovery. The type of jobs we have, we can take folks, a displaced miner, and actually put them to work with on-the-job training. That is training that we can give as they work and earn a salary, not not classroom training, then they have to wait on a job. We're able to do that immediately. So folks, with this, we have a real chance for economic recovery. Without it, we will continue to slide. We'll have continued chronic unemployment, underinvestment in our economy. So I am very happy to be a part of Governor Justice's team, and very happy that he has made transportation such a centerpiece. And I look forward to hearing him tell you more about it in a few minutes. And again, I will say thank you for having us here. Glad to be back in Morgantown as a proud WVU dad. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right. So I'm Clay Marsh, and I'm the Vice President for Health Sciences. And I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to give you a frame that I'm going to use to introduce the person that I have an amazing amount of respect for, which is Secretary Bill Crouch. So Frank Vitale, who's here, and I were having lunch today, and we were talking about Simon Sinek. And Simon Sinek is a speaker that has a TED Talk called The Golden Circle. And his TED Talk says that he understands what makes great companies great and what makes ordinary companies ordinary, and it's a target. In the middle of the target's the word why, the next ring of the target's the word how, and the outer ring is the word what. And most companies start from outside in, and what do we do, people know, and how do we do it, people know, but they don't really know why they do it. But great companies start from the inside out, and they understand their purpose. And I would say for me, I'm a native West Virginian. I'm a two-time graduate of this university, Gordon Geese on my diplomas. I was at Ohio State University for 30 years, and I was brought back, and it's been an amazing gift. And it's been a gift because I've found my why in coming back. And my why is to be a little part of our commitment to change the future of people of this state, and by doing that, change the world. And we wake up every morning with that purpose in mind. And so from a healthcare standpoint, we certainly buy into creating the best healthcare that we can bring to the state of West Virginia. And Dr. Vinay Badwar, who's joined us from the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center and was the head of cardiac surgery there, is now the head of cardiac surgery here and the leader of our Heart and Vascular Institute. And we greatly appreciate the amazing work Vinay and his team does every day. But medicine of today is sick care, is rescue from failure care. And people in many ways have subscribed to this business model in medicine, and many physicians are becoming dissatisfied because our purpose is prevent failure, help people be healthy. And so you want to save money and reduce and improve outcomes in healthcare, let's have a healthier population. And when you ask how to do that, it turns out that all of the studies on healthy populations, it's not about genetics and genomics and all this, it's about human interactions. We evolved as people, we evolved in communities. We're losing that, we've become isolated. People don't feel loved, they don't feel safe. That we know that the human attributes of health are the most important. Angus Deaton and his wife Ann Case published an article that was a game changer 2 years ago. He won the Nobel Prize in Economics at Princeton. He's a population economist, and he found there was a small cohort of middle-aged white people, less educated, that were dying at a rate that's been not seen since the peak of the AIDS epidemic. And these are people with high school educations only, and they're dying of suicide, addiction problems, and liver disease. And in fact, that was really striking. And people said, yes, that's right. We have a huge problem nationally and in this state with opioid addiction and dependency. They redid the study and got deeper into it. And they said people are really dying of despair and hopelessness. People are really dying of despair and hopelessness. And we know from all of the longevity studies, the key elements to living long and great lives, great friends, great connections, a sense of purpose that you maintain for your whole life, and feeling that your life is full, that you're grateful for all the gifts, that you have everything you need to live a life you choose to lead. And I think in many ways, we've internalized stories that other people have told about us that limits us, and we in West Virginia have lived our lives to meet those stories as opposed to understanding we can create whatever story of our life we want. And I come to Governor Justice and to President Gee, who is my boss and his boss in a way. And these are two people that see no limits. You know, I met Governor Justice for the first time at the Greenbrier, and I'd finished walking through the Greenbrier Valley, and it's spiritual. It's an amazing place. We met him, and I said, thank you for saving this place. This is an amazing place. He said, I'm a caretaker. I'm just a caretaker. And I think that's what we all are if we do our jobs well. So it's time for us to wake up our population, like in the Polar Express, to hear the bells again, to believe in the American dream, to invest in our future. We can't cut our way to a better future. We have to generate resources and invest it. And I will tell you, my pledge to the governor, to Secretary Crouch and others, is we will invest with you in having this state be the model state to show how we can create a healthy set of communities, a healthy set of people, and that will save a lot of money. We can reinvest in other things, and it'll also improve the outcomes of people. And that's tied up not just to health, but to education and prosperity, which is what Gordon talks about all the time. So with that, that's my little diatribe, and I've had the stage, so I'm now going to introduce one of my heroes, is Secretary Bill Crouch. Bill is an amazing person you're going to get a chance to see, who's come back to do the job of Secretary of DHHR because of his sense of duty. Bill is a person who left a very successful practice and business where he helped all hospitals and health facilities understand their business, understand data. He's a data guy, and he wants the information so he can then make the plans to make the most difference for people in our state. And Bill had been in DHHR before and was an assistant director at one point and was the first person to lead the healthcare authority in this state. And he is a person who leads with his heart as well as his head. And he's a person who will lead us to a better future for our citizens. I deeply believe that, and we are all in with Bill. And Bill, invite you to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Clay's a hard act to follow. But I want to thank President Gee and WVU for inviting me and us here today, and Dr. Clay Marsh, Vice President and Executive Dean for Health Sciences. He doesn't like to use the title, doesn't like to use the doctor title, and I tell everyone, just call me Bill. And I've got a deputy secretary that I keep saying, just call me Bill, and he keeps saying, yes, sir, Mr. Secretary. So, but I appreciate the governor in inviting me to be part of this. He has developed a great team, and I'm happy to be on that team. As everyone probably knows, we're ending near the end of a long legislative session. In fact, I was enjoying sitting there watching the clock tick down. I might just sit there after you all leave and just watch the clock tick down. But we're making progress. The governor's making progress with his message. And his message from the first day I met him has been very clear, which is don't hurt the children and the families in West Virginia by reducing services to those folks. He is. It may be the first time a governor has not included reductions in the DHHR budget that at least I can remember. And again, it's been a consistent message to me to keep services going in West Virginia. Since 2015, the department has reduced a total of $181 million in services, in money in its budget. Additional cuts to the DHHR budget do mean cuts to services. We're to the point where we do not have the ability to reduce further. It's clear that if the governor's budget is not approved, we are going to experience some cuts and some reductions. And the reality is that many of these cuts will affect individuals in communities and providers in communities. they affect the very livelihood of caregivers. I've been traveling around the state the last few weeks and have met a lot of folks who are caregivers for some of the people we're responsible for. And they've created bonds with those people, and they've created a relationship there that is more than just a caregiver coming in and taking care of folks. They've become family, and they've asked me to please not allow these programs to be reduced or eliminated. We have been asked by the legislature to provide options now, just last week, as to what we would cut if we were cut $50 million in our budget. A magnitude of this cut, of these cuts, means critical services to people, and it means they would be eliminated or significantly reduced. Payments to community providers, such as nursing homes, behavioral health, home health agencies, could be reduced. We have a lot of providers that are truly marginal in terms of their profits. They're small community providers who are trying to take care of folks in their community. A reduction in their payments means some of these will not be able to continue. Plus the $50 million cut in general funds and state funds in Medicaid actually means we're cutting $3 federal dollars for every $1 in state dollars. So we're looking at a cut of $175 million to $186 million. Was a businessman for 30 years. I'm not sure I understand why how that makes any sense, to lose 140 million federal dollars to be able to cut 50 million state dollars. So I'm having trouble with that one. But if Governor Justice solutions are not implemented, we may lose some of our waiver programs. We have a couple of programs for the aged and disabled. We have programs for the IDD population, the developmentally disabled population. These programs actually keep folks in the community and keep individuals a part of the community. If we don't have these, we have to find other services for these folks, and a lot of times those services are more costly, such as nursing home care. If we can keep folks in the community through the aged and disabled waiver, they don't have to go into a nursing home. Part of the problem is federal regulations require us to maintain certain services, such as the acute care hospital services and nursing home services, et cetera. So the waivered programs are optional programs. So we have to look at those first. So we're not sure what is going to happen if that $50 million cut it becomes real, but we're looking at it very hard and trying to figure out how we make those decisions. It's probably the most difficult part of the job right now, and I hope I don't have to do that. We can reduce payments to those services again, but what we really want to do, and I want to make sure I'm clear, is keep the waiver services intact at this point. We truly want those services. The governor's presented a better option. The legislature has a budget by the governor that will assure that not happen. One of the actions, or one of the items that the governor amended to his budget, is one that I'm particularly supportive of, which is the tax on sugary drinks. That would add 1 cent an ounce to sugary drinks, which would raise $85 million in the state of West Virginia, for the state of West Virginia. It's called A Few Cents Makes Sense, and it makes sense. So we have an option of cutting services or 1 cent tax per ounce per sugary drinks. The sugary drink tax is near and dear to my heart because it down the road it creates more problems, more healthcare problems for our population. Children start getting sugary drinks early. We have a lot of young mothers who think getting their children on juice is a good idea. Part of the problem is a lot of that juice is just sugar and water. And when that happens, children gain weight. Children have tooth decay. Children are much more prone to diabetics, becoming diabetic if they continue that. The problem and in fact, we are ranked second in the country in terms of obesity. So we have a serious problem there. And the problem is those toddlers then get older and continue and move to other sugary drinks. I'm sure I don't have to tell a university population about sugary drinks. They're everywhere. But they are a problem later in life, and we need to take care of ourselves. We can actually save an estimated $80 million a year in healthcare costs over 10 years and have 15,000 fewer cases of obesity and see a significant reduction in diabetics if we reduce our sugary drink intake. Another budget proposal the governor's made is a 50-cent per pack increase on cigarettes. I jokingly told someone to check the state code when I took this job to see if I could ban cigarettes, but they couldn't find that anywhere. So it's an addiction like other addictions. And the problem is, again, it leads to very unhealthy adulthood and problems in adulthood and later life. It is the easiest thing to stop if you make your mind up and convince yourself they can kill you in later years. Cigarette smoking is the #1 preventable disease. It leads to lung cancer, heart disease, stroke. They're all linked to tobacco products. We're ranked #1 in hypertension in the country. We're #1 in the prevalence of cardiovascular disease. We rank 47th in overall health. We need to do a better job of taking care of ourselves and our friends and our family and our children. We simply must do better. Passing just these 2 taxes will not only help reduce healthcare costs in the future, they will raise over $132 million for the West Virginia state budget to avoid the elimination or cessation of actual services to families in West Virginia. These are sound proposals by a governor who cares. He has refused to cut health care services to our vulnerable populations and is fighting to keep health care available for the families in West Virginia, and I thank him for that. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
We've got all these road signs up here. Let's go out and finish our roads. How does that sound? And just so that tax doesn't apply to Diet Dr. Pepper, I want you to know that. I was with you until then, Bill. I want you to know that. My governor, before you, you see your road warriors. You see the people who are committed to you, committed to this state, believe in what you're about, believe that we have to move from cutting and from a mentality that says that we can't achieve things to a mentality that says that we have nothing but blue skies in front of us. And that is precisely where we are right now. And this is your university. This is your university. I'm just the caretaker for a few minutes here and honored to be here. But this institution represents the hopes and dreams of so many people. Not only the people in this room, not only the people who are watching this day, but also who believe that we have a brighter future ahead of us. And so this is your university, and we're not about, this governor and this university is not about survival, it's about thriving. And it's about making certain that each of us in this audience and each of us in this state, 1.8 million West Virginians, have an opportunity to see a brighter day. And that's what we're going to do. As a land-grant university, we are, as you heard from Dr. Marsh and as you've heard from so many, we are a powerful catalyst for changing lives. And the pathway to success is an educated citizenry. It is that simple. Employment, let's just take a couple of data. I'm not going to talk very long because I want to hear this guy. I love this guy. I want you to know that. Employment in manufacturing has declined by about 1/3 since 1990. since 2008, and I want everyone to understand this. This, I think, is the most powerful piece of data I can give to you. In 2008, which is the bottom of the recession, 11.8 million jobs have emerged in this country, but only 80,000, let me say that again, of 11.8 million, only 80,000, less than 1% of those jobs, required only a high school education. What that simply says is that what fuels our future is an educated citizenry, and we have to support education. And now we know this. We've heard some of the data, and this is just to put us in perspective because it's going to go in a different direction. At West Virginia, we have one of the nation's lowest college attainment rates. Moving our state forward demands that we change our strategies. We've got to learn to invest. We've got to learn to invest in the things that will make a difference for our people. As a successful businessman, Governor Justice understands the importance of a strategic investment. You heard it from the day he came to his podium. He started the Justice Family Farms in 1977 and has grown it into a major agricultural enterprise. He has served as president and CEO of 102 different companies. Governor, that's nearly as many universities as I have led. He rescued the legendary Greenbrier Resort in White Sulphur Springs from bankruptcy, investing in innovation and expansions that have once again made it a showplace for high-profile events that bring people to our great state. Jim is a product of West Virginia Public Schools and a graduate of Marshall University, and will not hold that against him. I want you to know that today, because we're all in this together. He has an unusually broad view of West Virginia's challenges and opportunities, and he knows that our state is at a critical tipping point. Now, let me just say something very personal. I've gotten to know the governor. I cherish our friendship. I want you to know that. But more importantly, what I cherish is the fact that he cares so deeply. You know, if I owned the Greenbrier, I wouldn't be running for governor. I'd be doing something a hell of a lot more fun. I want you to know that. And he doesn't need the job. He doesn't need the accolades. He doesn't need anything. He is doing it for a very simple reason. He is doing it because he cares, and he believes in us. And we all love being West Virginians, but it takes courage to be a West Virginian. And this is the man of courage. Ladies and gentlemen, our governor, thank you very much.
Please, sit down, please. I hope y'all aren't getting tired back there, but I'll be quick, and I hope I'll make you laugh a little, because I do truly believe in my heart that the good Lord gave you the ability to smile and to laugh, and this journey, no matter who you may be, is tough at times, and it's full of stress in every way. So remember that. If I've given you any bit of wisdom today, remember that. Now just think about this. You're the governor. You're a pretty powerful person in the fact that you're the governor. Now you would think, because you're a little on the chunky side, that they wouldn't pull you in and bring you in the culinary entrance. And then you would also think that you wouldn't bring your secretary of DHHR up here, and he would talk and talk and talk about obesity in our state. And then you would think that he wouldn't bring up when you were a baby, you could have been drinking a sugary drink, a juice drink. Well, my mom just took me up to an IV, and I went all the time on it. But I mean this. You know, I look, and Coach Nealon's right here, and Gordon's right here. You know, I was going to say Coach Nealon and Gordon and Clay and Joyce and a lot of good friends. And West Virginia University is all of our university that is in West Virginia. Now think about it, and I mean this. I love West Virginia University beyond good sense because I see not only our name, and I see not only our success, but I see what you echo all across our hilltops, all across this great world, just how valuable you are to all of us that you make us so proud every day. Now, I don't have a bunch of notes. All I'm going to be talking to you from today is my heart. Now, I'm going to move right here. You see how sturdy they've made this baby? Well, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to talk to you. And I'm going to talk to you just as Jim Justice would. You see, I don't know any way to do it other than do it as someone that would tell the truth. Someone that would tell you exactly what's on my heart. Now, here's the deal. You may wonder, and I may deviate in and out here a little bit, but you may wonder what it's like to own the Greenbrier Hotel. What is it like to own the Greenbrier? Well, let me tell you this story real quick. And I got to write a few things down here. And I'm going to write this in red. First of all, I'm going to write one thing in black. We bought the Greenbrier for $20.1 million. Now, when we did that, my son Jay, who was born 40 years old and loves business beyond good sense, he said to me, he said, "Dad, it's got to be the greatest buy in the history of all time. $20.1 million for the Greenbrier? 10,000 acres of land? Dad, there's more artwork in the Greenbrier than $20.1 million. And there probably is. Well, after it lost $1 million a week for 38 straight weeks, Jay would walk around and say, "I'm telling you, this place sucks." Now, think about that and just hold that thought. I walk into the office of governor, and the first thing they tell me is from the inauguration until July 1st. You would surely, to goodness, think that things are okay from now till July. I can't work on that budget. I've got to work on the budget beginning in July. From inauguration to July 1st, you're $123 million short. Now, if that's not bad enough, next year, you're $497 million short. And the years preceding that, you're $700 million short. So the first thing I thought was running for this office sucks. So, beyond that, I'm going back and sitting down as soon as I clean my little board. Now, that's where it all started. Along the way, I, just like you, would have thought, surely to goodness, there's plenty of waste out there, and we can cut this and we can cut that, and we can just trim ourselves a little bit here and there, and things will be okay. Well, let me tell you, I'm a pretty smart guy, and I'll promise you that you couldn't have any beginning idea, because I didn't. I thought we wouldn't have to cut taxes, we wouldn't really have to cut services substantially, we wouldn't really have to do a whole lot to get ourselves out of this. And then you look under the sheets, and it's not good. And there's no way out. There's no way out of this. Except I'm a firm believer that if you watch Coach Nealon coach, you would attest to the same thing. If you watch Coach Huggins or Coach Holderson coach, they do the same thing. When the game's on the line, somebody has got to be calm. When the game's on the line, now I'll promise you, Coach Nealon many times knew how to get right in somebody's face and give it to them both barrels. But when the game's on the line, everybody's stressed to the max. Somebody's got to be the cool head in the room that thinks. Now, I believe this. I've coached 1,200 basketball games plus. And I truly believe if you can get me within 5 points with 2 minutes to go in the game, I'm going to win the game. I really believe that. Because I'm not going to screw it up. And I tell my kids, if you'll just keep playing, I'm going to win the game. Now, I don't do that to be cocky in any way. You know why I do that? I do that because at that point in time, in a 1-point game, when you're right down to crunch time, they are so nervous they can't even think. And if for some bizarre reason they believe that I'm going to win this game, and all they got to do is just keep playing, they play at their best. Now, let me tell you, we're at crunch time. And really and truly, we've been running the kind of record that's 0-20, 0-20, 0-20. I'm a real believer if you're 0-20, 0-20, they ought to fire the coach. I'm also a real believer that if you're running a play that brings you 50th over and over and over in everything coming or going, for gosh sakes a living, you've got to quit running the same plays. Now let me go back to this real quick. Remember what I said about looking under the sheets and not having any idea how bad it is? Do you realize you live in an area that is prospering and doing so many good things? In all honesty, Charleston in many ways needs to take your playbook and run your playbook. Now, but here's the net. We run it as a state, don't we? And at the end of the day, you can become casualties because of the simple fact of how we've got to do it as a state. Now, so, here's where you are. You're at the brink of no return. Now, you can buy it from me or not buy it from me. But let me tell you, Jim Justice does a lot of things, but Jim Justice doesn't blow smoke up anybody's butt. I don't have time to do it. And I don't do it. I don't yell wolf. I don't cry wolf. I don't yell. I don't do anything except tell people the truth. Now, I'm going to tell you this, and you better listen to me. And the legislature better listen to me. Because we're going to awaken to the China syndrome, and many of you know what I mean by that. If we do something that cuts into the bone more, let's be smart people here. Game's on the line. Somebody's got to be calm. Somebody's got to be thinking. If we do something that cuts into the bone more people leave. If more people leave, revenues go down. No matter what we've done, and every time you turn around, the hole's right behind you. Now, listen to this. At Greenbrier East High School, true story. I was there. At Greenbrier East High School, a kid on the way to school found a raccoon that had been run over on the side of the road. He picked up the raccoon and put it in the car and brought it to school and tied fishing line around the raccoon's neck and around his leg and took off running down the main corridor of the school. The kids were diving in the classrooms. The teachers were diving all over everybody. I have never seen anything like it in my life, but I loved it. but absolutely, that kid got in a lot of trouble. Well, I'm going to tell you this, if we don't fix this mess, every time we turn around, the raccoon's going to be right behind us. Now, listen. We can fix it. And again, calm heads have said, okay, slow down. This isn't a justice wants to tax versus live within your means. This is recovery versus death. I don't care how you cut it. Now, so just stay with me just a few more minutes. Think about this just for a second. If you had the chance, and I tried to sit and as painlessly as I possibly could, come up with a way for four groups to participate: the government, business, the people, and the rich. Now, I asked the really wealthy people to do this, to pay $500 if you've got an income of greater than $200,000, or $1,000 if you've got an income greater than $300,000. And I've done that just symbolically more than anything, just because of this. I wanted the average, everyday Joe that's really hurting out there to feel like that he knew that justice and all the money of Gordon Gee, I wanted to get a little money from Gordon Gee, to tell you the truth. That we were helping a little bit. You know, we were doing a little bit extra. Now, that doesn't raise a lot of money. It raises $8 million. It's almost insignificant, you know, but the symbolism of it, I think, is important. You know, I've asked our businesses to participate just a little teeny bit. I mean the smallest that you could ever imagine. You know, I've asked our businesses now on a gross sales of $1 million, $1 million of gross sales to pay $250. That's it. That's it. And I ask you, as a people, to do this, to pay for every $4, $4. I'll make it real easy so you can see it. For every $4 that you spend, I ask you to pay 1 penny. 1 penny. Now, that's it. That's the whole deal. Now, we can either do that and stabilize ourselves and have the good sense to not cut into higher ed or destroy K through 12, or turn our backs on the weakest, the oldest, the poorest. And I ask any of you, any single one of you, if you had a business, the business, let's say you were a hairdresser, or you had a gun shop, and you had a gross income of $5,000 a month. You know what you're going to pay under my scenario? You're going to pay a total tax of about $19. And I ask you, as people, for $4 a penny, I ask you this: if you had the choice, you could push the button. You could push the button to turn your back and close this senior center. Or you could push the button and get rid of Promise Scholarship. Or you could push the button and close our state parks. That's what you're going to do. I don't believe there's one single person here that would do it, because you're great West Virginians. And you know you got a person here that is telling you genuinely where you are in the hole. Now, listen to me, and listen really good. We have to do two things, and I don't care how we do it and what combination we do it, but we cannot, on the left side, we cannot cripple us anymore. We cannot hurt us anymore. And on the right-hand side, you've got to have immediate jobs. Now, you see all these things, all these road stuff here. Here's what I came up with. I came up with increase the DMV fees, but offset the increase of the DMV fees with the fact that you don't have to have your vehicle inspected but every third year. The other thing I said is you've got to pay 4.5 cents on gas. That 4.5 cents on gas will get us 48,000 new jobs. Right here in this area alone, I think it's about $225 million of road work and 5,000 jobs. And not only that, that's just the beginning. Because the bonding of that really turns in, you know, a great secretary is sitting here, Tom Smith, and I have been so blessed. I mean, honest to Pete, for Tom Smith and Bill Crouch to come back and actually give of themselves in every way for our great state's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But now just think about this. We've got $2.4 billion of road work on the books. When we bond this, it's really going to turn into about $3.2 billion. Now I've said one, let me add one other thing that I left out. We're going to increase the tolls on the turnpike, and we may end up having to toll some other roads, but we're going to give you the opportunity. How many of you drive on the turnpike? Okay. All right. Now think about this for a second. We're going to tell you, instead of going through $2 until it drives you crazy and everything, we're going to give you the right for $8. You can buy a pass and go for free. Okay? Which just makes all the sense in the world, right? Well, here's the thing I told the crew the other day. They said, there's people upstairs. Now, if you have an easy pass, you know, the easy pass, I don't know, how much, do you have an easy pass? How much does it cost you? How much? 75 bucks, okay. Now, for $8, you're going to surely take the $8 deal versus the $75 deal. Buy that? Okay, but now here's the deal. That's going to cost our state a little bit of money. But the difference in the delta from 2 to 4 is going to bring us in about $100 million. Doing the $8 versus what our people are doing today is going to cost us about $15 million. Net $85 million to us. Put it in the roads thing, and it gets us about $3.2 billion. Now think with me a second. Today we spend about $150 million on maintenance. We're going to have $2.4 billion, poof, in road work. And we're going to have $800 million sitting in a bucket, and we can bleed it down. We can say every 5 years we're going to put about $160 million. Dang, that math works. I can't believe it. I haven't said that before. But we're going to put $160 million plus $150 to fixing the existing terrible roads that we already have. Now, that's going to be more jobs, isn't it? That's not counted in the 48,000. Now, on top of all that, we're going to charge all the successful bidders, when you get the road job, we're going to charge you a 5% fee, and we're going to put it in a bucket, and that alone is going to amount to probably $150 million. And we're going to put it in a bucket, and we're going to fix this terrible drug epidemic. We're going to fix it. Now, to me, your little buddy that came in the culinary entrance and had too many sodas and is really trying in every way to get some of the tubbiness off of me. Your little buddy is telling you that that is a real plan. And your buddy here is also telling you this: we're going to get it done. We're going to get this done. It may have a little tweak here or tweak there, but the philosophy of the whole thing, don't cripple and immediate jobs, is going to get done. And it's going to get done not because I've got an 18-karat blowtorch on their hind end. It ain't going to get done because of that. It's going to get done because it's the right thing to do. And they don't have anywhere to turn. It's the right thing to do. Now, I do need you. I do need you, whether you're with me or not. I know there's got to be at least 9 of you here that voted for me. But I really do need you to let your voice be heard. Because if we don't turn this way, we've proven how to be dead last. We've got that down pat. The only thing that I know that we're really first in West Virginia is vehicle collisions with deer. And we're knocking that out of the park. Now, there's so many opportunities that we have. Do you realize just how great this state really is? I mean, and I mean this so sincerely as I treasure my friendship with all these beautiful young ladies and wonderful men here, but I especially treasure my friendship with the great Gordon Gee and the great Don Nealon. They are my heroes, and they have done an unbelievable job here. You're in the news every day, you turn around, and you're doing greatness beyond all comprehension. Think about this state. I said this in the debate, and I truly believe all the good ideas I have come from the good Lord, and I'll take credit for the bad ones. But I just think I said, close your eyes and think about a place that had 4 of the most beautiful seasons on the planet. A place that abounded in natural resources, unbelievable. Coal, oil, gas, timber, water. Think about a place that was within a rock's throw of 2/3 of the population of this country. That's a market. And think about a place that had good people and good universities and good, solid families. Families that were faith-based and knew the difference between right and wrong, and people that were craftsmen. And then open your eyes and say, that place is West Virginia. It is. We don't need to be dead last. We don't need to be the blunt end of bad jokes. We don't need to be expected to know our place. That's why I ran for governor. I don't want a thing in the world for me. In all honesty, if you own the Greenbrier Hotel, you're Elvis reincarnated. You don't need anything, nothing. But I am telling you, we are too blooming good to be last. And so I'll end with telling you 2 really quick stories. The first is this. I told you what you maybe like to own the Greenbrier. Let me just add one other thing. Walking down the halls of the Greenbrier one day, Kathy and I, every one of these stories are true. We're walking down the hall, and this guy who's a sporting club member, there's 2 straight policemen that have come up, and both these stories are going to reference the state police. They're going to be mad at me on the way home. But anyway, this guy comes up to me. He's about Gordon Gee's height and everything, and he looks pretty dadgum dapper, just like Gordon Gee would look, but maybe not those socks. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that now, but maybe even the bow tie. But anyway, the state policeman comes up to me and he says, Mr. Justice, do you know Joe Ferguson? And I said, I do. And he's, now Joe was a good bit older than Gordon and everything, but Joe was probably at the time 85 years old. And Joe is a sporting club member, and he always dresses real dapper, and he's got this little MG, and they said, do you know we clocked him out on I-64 doing 96 miles an hour. He's 85 years old. Now, and they said the closer we got to him, the faster he went. And finally, there was 2 of us, and finally, we just kept after him and cut him off and pulled him over. He said he had the best line that he fed us that we've ever been fed before, so we let him go. He said as soon as we got to the car, he said, oh my gosh, officers, let me tell you, 35 years ago, my wife ran off with a state policeman, and all I could think about is, my God, they're bringing her back. Now, so that's what it's like owning a Greenbrier. And the last thing The last thing I'll leave you with is this. On the day after I am inaugurated, the day after, I had a basketball game at Princeton, girls game. I go down and coach the game. State police meets me there, followed me down there, and then where they went, I don't know. But there's a trooper there. I come out of the gym. We win the game, which is thank goodness, because it was my first game after being governor, and that would have been big headlines. Loses the game, you know. But anyway, come out, get in the car. He says, Governor, I'm going to be right behind you going back to your home. So if you see my headlights, I'm right behind you. I said, good enough. And everything. Off we go. Now, there's another fellow with me. His name's Mo Ball. He's driving. Kathy's sitting behind him, and I'm sitting over here because the inauguration and everything, I'd had it. So I'm just sitting over there. We get to the toll booth at Gent. And when we do, the trooper pulls right by me, and right through he goes. And I said, follow him, Mo. And Mo just took off right behind him. Now, in the next 5 miles, we're going 90 miles an hour. And I said, just stay with him, Mo. We're going to get home early. And then it dawns on Kathy and I that Mo's vehicle's at Harper Road at Bob Evans in Beckley, and we're going to turn toward Lewisburg. And so I called the state police and said, can you call the trooper in front of us and tell him he's got to go on straight toward Harper Road and not turn toward Lewisburg? And said, I'll call him. He said, I'll call him, Governor. I'll call you right back. All of a sudden, right back, the phone rings and everything. I said, yeah, go ahead. And he said, Governor, the trooper in front of you is not with you. But the trooper behind you says he can't keep up with your ass. Now, true as it can be. Now listen to me. I mean it. I said, let off by saying the good Lord gave you the ability to smile and to laugh. We're going to get this done. And we're not going to hurt people. And we're going to have a really bright day in West Virginia. And we're going to take off like a blooming rocket ship. And we're going to do it primarily in lots of ways because of you and because of this great university. I love this man right here. I love that man, and I love all y'all. And believe it or not, I love all of y'all. So let's go. Let's do it. Thank you. God bless you. Oh, okay. Bless y'all.